So let's practice area of a circle again today. It tells us to use 3.14 for pi, so that's what we're going to do. Use 3.14 for pi every time unless instructed otherwise. Just make sure to read the directions. This one, we have a radius. It already labeled. Radius equals 5. And that's 5 centimeters right there. It's labeled for us. So luckily, we're ready to go. A equals pi r squared, only formula there is for the full circle. Area equals, it tells you what to use for pi. So instead of that symbol, we put 3.14. The radius is 5 squared, so that's 5 times 5. So 3.14 times 25. I hope you realize some of these are going to repeat so you could look at your other homeworks and the answers are on there. So go off to the side, 3.14 times 25. 5 times 314 is 1570. Mark that off the list and add that place 0. 2 times 314 is 228. Add straight down. Move twice. So area equals 78.5, and that is square centimeters. Yes, you must put the square because that's how many little square centimeters it's going to take to fill that little object. Okay, now I'm introducing you to two other things. First, there's a semicircle or half of a circle in which we put a half in our formula. Second one is a quarter circle, and remember quarter of a basketball game or a football game is 1/4 of the game. So those are two other formulas. So you have to watch and see what they're asking for. This says determine the area of a semicircle. So semicircle is half of a circle. Go ahead and draw it out with a diameter of 9.4 millimeters. Go ahead and label all the way across. Now this means we're using the formula area equals 1/2 of a circle, and of course pi r squared. So let's go ahead and fill in what we know. Area equals 1/2. Pi, 3.14. The r, we don't know yet. I know the diameter, so I got to go off and divide this by 2 and figure out what my radius really is, and that is 4.7. So that is 4.7 times 4.7. Okay, the area equals 1/2, 3.14, and 4.7 times 4.7, if we use the calculators, 22.09. Just to get through this real quick, equals again 1/2, 69.3626 when you multiply those together. Now what you cannot forget, and this is why I saved it, made sure you understood it was part of the process, you got to divide all that by 2. So when you divide it by 2, you get a final answer of area equals 34.68. It says round to the nearest tenth, so that could be changed to a 7. And of course, don't forget square millimeters. So the only thing different we did on this one was this 1/2 that is in blue. Make sure to do it, otherwise you calculated an entire circle instead of a semicircle or half of a circle. Okay, in this one they're introducing this little fraction because 22 divided by 7 will get you as close to pi as possible in a fraction form instead of a decimal form. So this only works well if, and it takes less time, if you have a multiple of 7 for the radius, in which case those two do not. Remember, the radius isn't labeled here. That is half of the 25. So the radius, let's go ahead and label before we forget, is 12.5 millimeters, half of that one. So that one is not a multiple of 7 either. So that means the only one we're going to use the fraction on is number 1. So let's start. These are just practicing basic area. So area equals pi r squared. area equals pi r squared. Write it each time so we get used to seeing it. Pi r squared. And this is for area, and yes, you must put the A for area. So let's go ahead and finish number 1. A equals, I'm going to use the, instead of the 3.14, I'm going to use the 22 over 7. And the radius in this case is 7 times 7. Now this is the cool part of why you use the fraction, because all that means is dividing by itself. So these cancel each other out, because 7 divided by 7 is 1. So these make a big fat 1 when you simplify. So all your answer is 22 times 7, which is 154 and square inches. Now, I know the fraction looks so much easier than multiplying by 3.14, but really what it means is multiply by 22 and divide by 7. So if you use it all the time, you will be doing 2 operations, multiplying by 22 and divide by 7. And you do not want to do that for that next one when all you have to do is multiply once times 3.14. So let's go ahead and follow through and fill in number 2. Area equals 3.14. And we're going to use the 12.5 times 12.5. No, these will come in that decimal form, in which you're going to have to multiply 125 times 125 and move over 2 decimals. So far, area equals 3.14 times 156.25. Now once we have that, we just multiply it by pi, which is a lot of multiplying, and it comes out to the nearest tenth, 190.625, so we're just going to leave 0.6 because the next one is a 2. It could drop off, and that is square millimeters. Last one for practicing what we already did. Area equals 3.14, and it has the radius for us, and that's 12 times 12, which is 144. So next line is 3.14 times 144. Make sure you're writing this algebraically, meaning no x's in between. Multiply that out, and you get 452.16. So round to the nearest, that would change to a 2. And that would be square feet. Okay, this is good practice on the answers not coming out nice and neat for y'all, and realizing they will come in decimal form for your final answers. Okay, so on these you treat them exactly like you would a normal circle, except for at the end you would do one more step. So this, you can see, is a regular circle if you finish it off. So you're going to use pi r squared for all of them. Notice that is a normal circle, and this, if you finished it off, that would be a normal circle. Okay, but on this one, we're going to have the formula 1/2 pi r squared, and this one, again, 1/2 pi r squared, because it's half of a circle, the shaded part. And of course on this one, it is 1/4 or a quarter of a circle, so it's 1/4 pi r squared. So for this one, I will have to find my radius right here. The radius is 14. On this one, the radius is 3, so we're good to go. On that one, the radius is 6.4. So the only one we had to change is this one, and that is because you had to take half of that diameter to get 14. So let's fill it in. A equals pi r squared, so that is 3.14. The r is 14 times 14. So when you multiply 3.14 times 14 times 14, you could put that in the calculator and you get 615.44, and you're going to need to divide that in half because you're taking half of that. So when you divide it by 2, you then get your final answer of 307.72, and that is square meters. The middle one, area equals 1/2, 3.14, and the radius is 3 times 3. So when you multiply 3.14 times 9, that one is on your cheat sheet, and you're going to get 2826, but you're going to divide by 2 because you're taking the half again. So area equals 14.13, and that is square feet this time. Okay, last one. We're going to go through area equals 1/4 because we're taking a quarter of this one. Pi is always 3.14, and the R is 6.4 times another 6.4. When you put that in the calculator, you get area equals 6.4 times 6.4 times 3.14. You're getting 128.6144. And of course, you're going to divide it by 4, meaning taking a fourth. So divide by 4, and you get a final area of 32.125, and you could just put 0.15 to round it off if you want to. And again, that one is square feet. So again, the only thing that you did differently this time was you're going to make sure you're taking half because it is half of this circle. So that's why you are dividing it by 2 at the very end. Half of this circle, so you're dividing by 2 at the end. And a fourth of this circle, so you're dividing by 4 at the end.